and welcome to another episode of the Don't Get Me Going podcast. My name is Zoe Lulinski, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my top 10 again, and just talking over what happened during the trade deadline on Tuesday. Just before we start, quick shout out to my fantasy football team. Kareem Hunt won me the game last week. I'm 7-1, so beat that. I'm doing pretty solid. I'm super happy with my team, so it's been a really fun fantasy football season. I do have 3 teams, and I don't talk about 2 of them. But this one, I'm doing really good, and thank you to Kareem Hunt for getting me 17 points. I really appreciate it. Also, I would like to apologize. This episode is coming out a bit later this week. I originally had a guest planned to come on here, but all the sound quality is really bad, so I'm just refilming here real quick. This might be a shorter podcast episode, but hopefully I'll be able to get him on next week or sometime soon. It was really fun and really nice to work on this podcast with another person, so hopefully that'll work out soon. But like I said, in my top 10, I do have the Lions at 1 again. Like I mentioned previously, they just traded for Zadarius Smith, so that's replacing Aiden Hutchinson, and I feel like they did so good without him already, and I think adding Zadarius Smith is just, buffing up that defense. And I think something that's really, really interesting to keep an eye on is I've heard reports that Aiden Hutchinson can even come back for the Super Bowl, and imagine that duo. I know Zadarius Smith's getting a bit older, but they're looking really good. They look lights out. They look like easily the best team in football with that offense as well. I don't care about all the undefeated has to be number 1. I think that's stupid. If one team's obviously playing better than the other, that team should be over an undefeated team. I think the Chiefs, you could also say, got lucky in a couple. But getting into the Chiefs, I do think they are number 2. Obviously, they're still really good. And that being said, with the undefeated teams and not, I think looking at the rest of their schedule, they could very easily continue to stay undefeated and maybe even have an undefeated season. I think that would be really interesting to see. There's definitely other teams that I think would have been more deserving of an undefeated title, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. But the Chiefs just traded for DeAndre Hopkins a couple weeks ago, and he's gone right into their offense and is fitting in quite well, especially with Patrick Mahomes. I think giving Patrick Mahomes another weapon like that is nice. I have the Bills again at 3. They are standing out as the best in their division easily. They're pulling away there, and they're just continuing to get better every week. So keeping them at 3. Ravens at 4. If not the Lions, I think the Ravens have shown that they can have the best offense in the league when they're playing to the best of their ability. Last week we didn't see that when they were playing the Browns, but the combo of Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry is insane. Number 5, I have the Commanders. They also just did a trade at the deadline with trading for cornerback Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints. Marshawn Lattimore's still only 28 years old, and I think he's a really great addition to that defense. A defense that is continuing to get better every single week as the season progresses, especially with a coach like Dan Quinn. And then the offense is also proven to be one of the best in the NFL when they're playing well. I think it's really cool to see how Jaden Daniels is progressing. He's taking what C.J. Stroud did last year as a rookie and taking it one step further even. He's in the MVP race right now, and as a rookie, that's insane. Cliff Kingsbury's doing an amazing job. I previously just had a little bit of trust issues with them. They're really good, but again, since Jaden Daniels is a rookie, I think that they can only go so far this season. But adding Marshawn Lattimore to a defense that's already showing improvement every week, I think I had to put them at 5. I've been kind of wary of doing that. I've had them in the lower top 10s, but they've proven that they've been consistent. Number 6, right behind them, same division, I have the Eagles. I really want to see them play each other. I think it'd be a really fun matchup to watch. That division's starting to get competitive. I know at the beginning of the season it was a little iffy, but the Eagles, when Jalen Hurts is playing like he can, they're as good as any other team in the league. Especially with, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, and then Saquon. Saquon is in the Offensive Player of the Year category. He's back to his old self after leaving the Giants. Unfortunate for Giants fans, but Eagles look really good. That offense is insane. That linebacking duo is looking really good for them. I'm honestly surprised to see how good they're doing, despite losing a couple of their older guys due to retirement last season. But they look to be back where they left off last season. Like I said, that linebacking duo is looking really good, and then their two rookie cornerbacks are playing pretty solid as well. And then at 7, I have the Vikings. I think I have them up a spot or two from last week. Their defense is looking how they did the first 5 weeks of the season. I think they looked much better in their game, and any offense with Justin Jefferson is going to look really good. They're looking to be back on track to where they were, so they're up a few spots. And the Packers just had a lot of mistakes. They had at least 10 penalties from what I can remember and recall from their game, and they just had a lot of drops. They played sloppy last week against the Lions, and yes, it's against the Lions, but they're on their home turf. Lambeau Field, that's some home field advantage right there, especially against a team who has not played outside yet. And then for the Lions, proving that doesn't matter. No matter where they play, they're going to play top notch no matter what. The Lions are so fun to watch too, and sorry to get back on the Lions, but the Lions are just so fun to watch. Ben Johnson calling plays. They're a really fun team to watch with all those trick plays and everything as well. They definitely made the Packers look like they're a lesser team than them. And then, of course, the Packers, had a couple mistakes here and there, but Jordan Love is also leading the league in interceptions despite missing 2 games. He's an interesting guy because he could either be the best quarterback showing the most insane throws and then also throw up 10 interceptions. He's like a reincarnation of Brett Favre. 9, I have the Steelers. I think they're still performing pretty solid. They buffed up their team a little bit with Preston Smith and Mike Williams at the trade deadline. So giving Russell Wilson another weapon and getting another pass rusher in Preston Smith, I think he's still a solid guy there at the edge. And then I have the Texans at 10. I think they're underperforming a little bit from what we expected. Obviously, they're struggling with injuries. They should be getting Nico Collins back soon, though, so that should be helpful. I just think in order to rate them any higher, they have to improve their offensive line. C.J. Stroud's getting killed on offense. Their defense, their pass rushers are insane with Daniel Hunter and Will Anderson. So their defense is looking really good. They have a lot of weapons that should be coming back soon. So Stephon Diggs was a big loss, but getting Nico Collins back is very important. He was going off at the beginning of the season, so a valuable guy there. And then getting to some honorable mentions, just a lot of teams that have kind of been in the conversation in top 10 the past few weeks with the Bucks, Falcons, and 49ers. The Falcons can easily be in those 9 and 10 spots. I don't have any reason for not putting them there, but I also have the Steelers and Texans, who I think are on the same level as them, if not a little better. So Falcons are looking really good. Kirk Cousins has improved that team tremendously, especially with some of the weapons they've gotten. I feel like they're just like getting used to each other. They're building chemistry, Drake London looking solid. He's meeting expectations, I think. Kyle Pitts is getting more involved, and then, Darnell Mooney's looking really good as well. And then 49ers, they're getting healthier as the weeks go by. Christian McCaffrey should be playing. I'm really excited to see how Christian McCaffrey does. He was so hyped up. I feel bad for anybody who drafted him in fantasy football. They're probably in last place in their league, so I'm sorry to you guys. And then the Bucks, without their top 2 receivers, are still, they were within a touchdown against the Chiefs. So, they're right in the conversation as well. Heading into the trade deadline, like I mentioned some previously, but Zadarius Smith was traded to the Lions. I think he's a really solid replacement, quick replacement for Aiden Hutchinson, as Hutchinson, I think it was breaking his leg a few weeks ago. So they really didn't look to be missing much without him, but he was also in the conversation to be Defensive Player of the Year. He was going off, and they looked to be okay without him, but that's a big hole to fill. So I think that was a really good trade there. And then Preston Smith from the Packers was traded to the Steelers. The Packers are just struggling in the run game on defense. I think that's their weakest point, just the defensive line. Preston Smith's getting a bit older. I think it's a solid pickup for the Steelers just to get another guy in there. I already mentioned this, but Marshall Lattimore to Commanders. He's 28 still. He has lots of time left. He's that's a good addition for the Commanders, buffing up that defense that's getting better every week. The Cowboys, too. So, the Cowboys, everyone was talking, make a move, make a move. They did make a move. They got Jonathan Mingo. He's a second-year wide receiver who was previously on the Panthers. He hasn't shown much, but then again, he has been playing on the Panthers, so that could be part of it. I think giving him a chance with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys offense could be solid. See how he progresses there. He definitely has a lot of potential, so I'm curious to see how that goes. And then Tre'Davious White was traded from the Rams to the Ravens. Again, for a team like the Ravens, they're big contenders right now. If not the Chiefs, they're going to the Super Bowl. So, in my opinion, so that was a really nice pickup. Pairing him up with the defense already, that defense is solid. Kyle Hamilton, the safety, drafted a couple of years ago, he's looked really good. Roquan Smith, they got a lot of top guys at their position, and then pairing that up with the offense that they have, they're only looking better. And then this is a smaller one, but I'm really happy to see it. Khalil Herbert from the Bears was traded to the Bengals. He's a running back. He was previously the Bears' second string running back for the last few years, and coming into this year, he was kind of pushed back and became just a healthy scratch for our latest games, and he's looked super good in every single game he's played, and so I'm really happy to see that he got traded somewhere, especially with Zach Moss out for the Bengals. Khalil Herbert's going to take on that second string position, and I think he'll be really good. He always takes advantage of when he plays, and I'm really happy to see him go somewhere that he could be successful. And then Mike Williams was traded from the Jets. He's a wide receiver, went to the Steelers. He gives Russell Wilson another guy to throw to along with George Pickens, so I think that's a solid trade as well. Interestingly enough, there are now 2 head coaches that have been fired so far. Any guesses to who's next? I think, the Browns coach, Kevin Stefanski, Bears coach, Matt Eberflus. There's a couple of guys here and there. The Raiders head coach could be fired. There's all options there. Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator for the Raiders, was actually just recently fired. So I think that gives the Raiders coach some leg room there just to see how they continue to play. But there's a lot of complicated ones. Dennis Allen was fired as head coach from the Saints. I think that was long overdue. They have almost a 7-game losing streak, and having that long of a losing streak, I think it's hard to survive that. It's interesting to see, too, because they were so insane their first 2 weeks. They were on top of the world. It was absolutely insane, the switch. They beat the Cowboys by 30 points. They nearly reached 50 points, I think. And then after that, they just went downhill. So I'm curious to see who takes over and how that turns out. But I also think they may be in a search for a quarterback coming up here soon. I don't know how long Derek Carr has left on his contract, but they kind of look to be fully rebuilding, trading Marshawn Lattimore, a guy who's still in his 20s, to another team, just things like that. I think they might be looking to revamp there. And then, just to end it here, don't get me going, this is a short episode, but I'm super sad that I wasn't able to upload my previous recorded one, but hopefully I'll get that out soon. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.